Today, welcome to Valley View Live on this first day of December. Our girl, Zenja Dunn, is back in for Miss Ricky Cheese.
Hey, hey, hey.
And you guys may not know, but today is also World AIDS Day, and we are raising awareness of the disease with Randy Slovacek, writer of the Randy Report, which is the largest daily LGBT blog in Nevada. Thank you, Randy, for being here today. It's so lovely. So talk to us about World AIDS Day and how the disease's narrative has really evolved over the course of time.
Well, obviously, as we know, the pandemic began in the 80s, and in 1988 we began observing World AIDS Day on the 1st of December. And the day is really about remembering how far we've come,
yes,
those we've lost, but also to celebrate a little bit about the progress we've made and the things that are on the horizon that give us some hope. And there are some really good news coming out of the statistics today. There really are.
I took a course in college at SDSU back in 2009, and it really helped me to better understand HIV/AIDS. And when I went into that class, there was that stigma about the disease, right? That it's a death sentence.
Yeah.
You're afraid when you hear it. I don't want to touch anything that someone who may have the disease, touches. But how has that really evolved?
Well, it's great that you mentioned that because today, if you go to therandyreport.com, I have all these things on World AIDS Day. Normally, there's a lot of pop culture and stuff, but since it is World AIDS Day, and one of the things I talk on is Dr. Frank Spinelli, who treated a lot of HIV/AIDS patients in New York, talks about the stigma. And a lot of people back in the 80s wouldn't get tested. They were afraid of it because the diagnosis, even if you had Kaposi sarcoma, which is what was terribly called gay cancer at the time, you would have these lesions.
Right.
And it made everyone afraid, and there was terrible stigma, so people wouldn't get tested. And the great first step that everyone has to do is know their status. It's very important to know your status. But there was such a stigma that people wouldn't even get tested. They wouldn't go see their doctors. They didn't want to know. They'd almost rather die than deal with the stigma.
Yeah.
Incredible. And recently we know Charlie Sheen has come out saying that he is HIV positive. Do you think that his story has helped or has hindered?
Well, first of all,
good question.
God bless. I don't know that he's the poster boy anybody really wants, and I don't say that to be mean, but I bless him for being courageous and sharing his story, and to let people know that he's been dealing with this for years, and he's on medications, and he's undetectable, which is a great thing.
Okay.
And he looks great, and it's not a death sentence anymore. He's a celebrity. He can afford the drugs, the cocktail things that people need in order to survive. And that's the good news.
That is the good news. Today in America, there are 1.2 million people living with HIV, which is separate from AIDS. AIDS is when it's actually affected your system and your immune system. But there are 1.2 million people with HIV in America today. There are 50,000 new infections each year, and approximately 14,000 deaths due to AIDS-related causes. But there are a lot of great things on the horizon. For instance, right now, ever since the mid-90s, we've had I'm going to get a little technical, we had protease inhibitors, called antiretrovirals. And in the mid-90s, this happened. And so now people can take one pill a day, and it becomes a manageable, chronic syndrome.
And these are some of the advancements since we knew before.
Now, we've had that for 10 years.
Okay.
But the good news is Johnson & Johnson is working on something that may be out by the end of next year, that instead of taking a pill every year, you take one shot every 2 months, and it's just as effective.
Yes. And instead of taking a pill every day, you take
one shot every 2 months.
And today is World AIDS Day, as you mentioned, and the Las Vegas sign is turning red. A lot of the properties are turning red tonight, too. So if you see the Venetian and some other places down on the strip turn and red, that is the reason why.
It's a big day.
It's raising awareness.
Raising awareness and then talking about prevention.
Yes.
What are still the best ways to prevent it?
Well, very good question. That's another thing that they just did a study of 600 men who were on taking Truvada, which is one of the drugs that they take. And it's called PrEP, or pre-exposure prophylaxis. Over 32 months, all 600 zero contracted HIV.
Wow.
So this was very, very, very effective. So one of the things that they tell people is to get on PrEP.
Yes, and we'll talk to you more about this later.